Hey guys, it is me, Tanya, founder of the TNG Designs Group Limited. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Now, in this particular video, we're going to be covering the idea as to how to keep your brand consistent. Now, this is a trap that a lot of people fall into in the idea of understanding how to do so. But what happens is they get caught up in the arduous cycle of trying to figure things out in the first place and they lose the focus. So within this particular video, we're going to be making sure that you stay on track with that focus so that you can start reaching out to the people that you really want to be connecting with, number one. Number two, also so that you can start sharing and equally building on the awareness as to who you are, what is it that you stand for, and doing that all with the congruency as to what it is that you actually believe in. Now, before you get stuck into this video, folks, I need you to make sure that you go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel because, as always, I want to make sure that as many people as possible really get to grips with the idea of, number one, understanding that they are more than what they see, and number two, more importantly, knowing that representation matters. That means people like you, people like me, people like all others who are watching this particular video need to be seen more of. Because when you are seen more, that means that others get to grips with how they can actually relate to you, connect with you, and equally understand that you are a way forwards. Meaning, the way that you actually help people really gets to drive home with that message, and understanding that will help you to start building on the recognition as to who you are and why it is that you really do what you do. So, with that being said, make sure you stick around to the very end of this video because I've got a super cool way to make sure that you are continuously taking action, especially with all of what I'm about to share with you. And it's super important, once again, to make sure that action is actually had, because none of this video makes any sense otherwise if you don't do it. So anyway, folks, let's get straight into this video. So as I said to you, we're going to be talking about the idea as to how to keep your brand consistent, okay? Now, consistency is key. We know that phrase. It's all very popular for a very good reason, because with consistency builds the idea of reputation. And with reputation, and more specifically the repetition of reputation, is what helps your brand to create the awareness or build on the awareness so that others can start understanding that you are that way forwards for them. And more importantly, you're the right fit for them as well. So 3 things I want to make sure that we cover in this particular video. And the first thing, and more importantly, literally starts getting rid of the whole idea of mixed signals. So I'm sure you've been in the position, especially when you're trying to share a message on social media, where you've just gotten a little tongue-tied. You just don't know the direction you're going in. And more specifically, you're putting out every Tom, Dick and Harry of a message, hoping that one of them will actually stick with your specific audience. So, how do you eliminate it? Well, you make sure that you tackle and know what your brand message is about. For me, for example, you guys already know that it's all about making sure and helping others that they are more than what they see. And what that means is everybody's typically working on the surface level stuff, which is great. However, now let's go that one step deeper and deeper, just to help you to understand the real reality as to what it is that you can actually do for people. Because that right there is what I like to call the gold dust, or more importantly, the real reason as to why you are doing what you're doing. When you share that, the passion just naturally comes out for it, and you actually start speaking about what it is that you're doing a hell of a lot better. So folks, what is it for yourself? What is your own brand message? How are you making sure that with your brand message, consistency is still had, especially with how you are showing up with you, yourself, and your brand as well? How are you making sure that you're positioning everything so that others really get to grips as to what you're about? So the second thing that you want to make sure that you are now covering, right, especially when it comes to building the awareness or the consistency for your brand, you want to make sure that you are keeping your brand form consistent. So know your brand form. Your brand form is something where essentially you're looking at your colors, your fonts, the whole image that sort of represents you. How are you being consistent with all those 3 items, but more specifically, how are you being consistent with the way you are showing up? When it comes to your fonts, for example, are you using 10 trillion and 1 fonts? Or are you making sure that you're using one consistent font that follows all the way through your social media platforms, your websites, your brochures, any roller banners you may have, any flyers you may have as well? Are you making sure that you're actually being consistent with that? And by the way, folks, it doesn't have to be one font. I've just said that there, but it can also be 2 fonts. Maybe you have a maximum of 3, but keep it nice and easy. Do not overcomplicate the situation, because at the same time, you want to make sure as much as you're getting your message out, people are stopping to see and understand what it is that you're trying to say in the first place. Consistency with your fonts, even at that stage, really does help to land your message, because what it does, it doesn't distract from what you're actually trying to say. You're keeping that focus. You're helping the reader's eye to literally just draw into what it is that you're saying and doing. Now, when it comes to colors do the same thing as well. When you have your primary color, how often are you actually using your primary color? And by primary color, what I actually mean is, what is your main color that you're using to represent you? Now, if you've seen a lot of my stuff, especially on the social media platforms, you'll notice yellow a lot. Yellow is one of my primary colors, and I've actually started to introduce a black or gradient tone within the black to make sure it adds a little bit of extra depth as well. Now, what is it for yourself? So with that in mind, now let's think of this third thing. Now, this third thing is something where sometimes a lot of people actually get a little bit stifled in, or they get a little bit lost for words in, or they just try and think, how can I make this make sense to these people? And what I'm sort of referring to is the idea of your brand space, or your space in general. How is your brand showing up in different spaces? Now, knowing your space is super key, simply because with your message in mind, with how you're showing up in mind as well, knowing your space will help you to really, really be direct, and again, create that focus that your audience within that space really understands. So what I mean by that is, imagine your message, okay? Now you're in a training session, or you're delivering a keynote, or maybe you're just networking in general. Imagine being in a space where it's other like-minded business owners, or maybe perhaps it's even your key target audience within this space. But maybe there's a specific niche. Maybe, for example, you might be in the beauty industry. And within the beauty industry, you happen to be at a networking event where you're seeing a lot of mums within that space. How can you relate to them? How can you use your message to really help them to understand that you are the person to work with them? Equally, with that same message, and if you're in a space with men, how can you make sure that you are using your message, all about beauty, all about standing up and showing up and being presented in a way that suits you comfortably? How are you making sure that your own message lands for them as well? It's all about knowing and understanding who you're speaking to, because when you're speaking the right language to them, they're going to want to hear more. They're going to want to understand that, you know what, this person really relates to what's going on with me right now. And when you are relating to them, I've already touched base on a few of these ideas already before, right, in my previous videos. When you're relating to them, these ideas and knowing how you are actually showing up and using consistency to make sure that you're building on your awareness will literally do that. It will build on your awareness in the right kind of a way. Because now, these pockets within your niche, or within the industry that you're actually making sure that you want to build your awareness in, are actually listening to you. They're understanding you, and they're getting it, more importantly. So I'm going to leave it there. I really hope that this video helped you. Please make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And equally, when it comes to knowing how to make sure that your brand is consistent, make sure you're always tying into these 3 key things. So that's knowing your message, or your core message, or your brand message, however you want to phrase it. It's also knowing how you are showing up, more specifically your brand form. And it's also making sure that you are knowing your space. Who are you speaking to? What space are you actually showing up in? Because when you are clear on that, you will make sure that any message that is coming from your brand always ties into what you're about, always ties into your core beliefs and what it is that you actually stand for, and more specifically speaks the right language to the type of audience that you're addressing in that space. So, folks, I'm going to leave it there. Once again, I really hope that this video resonated with you. Please make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel as well, and do this next thing as well. So remember, I was saying to you at the beginning, it's all about taking action, right? Well, this is what I want you to make sure that you are taking action with now. So what you need to do, underneath this particular video, in the description box, you're going to use the first link. Click on that. fill in your details and make sure that you fill them in correctly, because I want to make sure I send this information to you correctly, right? And I don't want it to get lost in the world of emails. No, I want you to actually do something with it. And when you do something with it, go ahead and share it with me, because I want to understand, how has this worked for you? Now, the thing that I'm going to be sharing with you is essentially going to be helping you with understanding how this level of consistency can happen for you. And it's going to be helping you more specifically with the idea of how do you stand out with what it is that you're doing, especially with you when it comes to your brand. It's also going to help you to understand how can you make sure that you are building on those right connections. Because folks, I know that you definitely understand this part, right? When you're not working with the right kind of people, the thing that you are doing doesn't make sense, and the thing that you are doing or the results that you're looking for won't be had simply because you're not addressing that right audience that is for your business or for your brand. So use this particular document, use it as a checklist to help you to understand how can you make sure that you are standing out in a way that's congruent to your standards and beliefs, and more importantly, how can you make sure that you are connecting with your right audience, the ones that you actually really want to work with, and more. So I'm going to leave it there. Please make sure you go ahead and do that. Share your results with me. And folks, I will see you on the other side.